Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at two comics from Zak Sally, The Recidivist, #1, and Sauce, which is a split comic with Mr. Mike, who I've never heard of before and I could find nothing on the internet about. But mainly, we're looking at Zak Sally stuff. I got this issue, I believe, at an alternative press expo. My friend, who's a cartoonist, he knew him. So this is like one of the first things he put out. Zak Sally was a kind of successful musician. He was in that band Low in the 90s. So he was like touring the world and, I don't know, living off of his music. But he definitely loved comics. And kind of in his mid-20s, I think he started, maybe early 20s. His band was hugely successful, but he was like, I want to do comics, which is kind of a whole different thing there. It's like he's, flying around the world playing shows, but he would rather just sit around making comics. You might know him from his Sammy the Mouse comic that Fantagraphics / Coconino Press put out sometime in the 2000s, I believe, maybe the teens even. But those are pretty nice. But I don't have all of them, so I can't show them to you. I don't want to show them to all of you without having the complete series. The Recidivist, of course, went on for a few more issues, but it's not like a graphic novel or anything. It's not like you need to read all of them in order, as far as I know. But let's take a look at these. I gotta say, this is just worth the price of admission here. The Recidivist #1. Okay, look at this. Can you see that? It's this amazing drawing of a hand with all the veins, but it's got an acetate cover. And the colors are all on the acetate. It's such a cool little, thing to do for a fanzine. They must have made this fanzine cost twice as much to make. Back cover does the same thing. Here's the color. And then, bam, no color. Great logo, too. He takes those American Sign Language pictures to spell out the Recidivist. Just look at that graphic design. That is amazing. All around. Great drawing. Great design. And I never even noticed this. I guess it's $2.50. And issue #1. Okay, let's look at this. So this is like his earliest stuff. He's just starting to cartoon. Something that's a little crude. He definitely improved very quickly. But he definitely has a unique voice. The arts might be a little crude here and there, but the imagery he depicts is really interesting. It's not the normal stuff you see. So instead of contents, it's discontents. All my friends are puny ants. I crush them beneath my feet is the first story. But look at this. The actual story is called All My Friends Are Giants. So it's almost like this comment on the story in the contents page. No justice to the actual incident described. Not me, you. And I'm pretty sure none of the comics are actually titled these. He gave them alternate titles. This was published by his own press. He has a press called La Mano. He publishes other people too. Oh, there it is. 1998 this came out. So I think I met him right around then at I think it was an Alternative Press Expo. This first story is very odd. It's basically, there's this little homunculus guy. This tiny little guy who's whispering in this guy's ear. And he sounds pretty insane. He's just rambling on and on. You're not even quite sure what he's talking about. But he's talking about how he has a secret. And he says it's a miracle is what it is. A miracle that spells more time ticking off the clock. It's almost like poetry or crazy beatnik poetry. It's like not really sure what this guy's talking about. I like this thing here, how all of his word balloons are just slithering out of his mouth. It's just it's almost like you can hear him whispering in your ear. That's what it would sound, look like. So he's just ranting. And it appears, as the camera pulls back sometimes, we realize he's talking to this guy who's, I don't know, obviously like vivisectioned. Someone's doing horrible experiments on them. And there's these horrible open wounds. And he's just chatting with him. He keeps getting smaller and smaller, this homunculus. That's a pretty frightening image here. So now he's so small, like a fly is gigantic. At first he was like the size of like a doll, you know. So, and look at this. So I guess the guy he's talking to, they never really pull back and give you a full view. But I think he's being tortured or something. Because look at his, here's his normal eye here. His left eye is being stretched open. Pretty horrific. But this is pretty amazing stuff for a first-time cartoonist. And I could be getting it wrong. I mean, as far as I know, I think this was one of the first things he drew. It's a crazy perspective shot, even though it's nuts. It's just a circle of teeth. It's not even like a real mouth. So next we have the next story, which I think is called Dresden, even though the contents page gave it another title. So this is an autobiographical tale, it seems. It's a band, a touring rock band, is in Germany. They seem American, just like Low is. And they're getting ready for the show, you know, bringing their amps in. It's this weird old theater somewhere in Dresden. And everyone's just, you know, chit-chatting, like, oh, is there food? And there's this, like, little old lady who works there who's, like, the cook. So when performers come through, she cooks them food and whatever they want. And he sees this bartender, very skinny woman here. She kind of just imposes herself on him, just grabs his lighter and a cigarette. And, I mean, if this is Zak Sally, the narrator, I'm assuming it is, he's just like, oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, of course, I don't mind. Because she can't speak English, so she just kind of makes this face at him. So then this weird incident happens. So here, I don't know if this is autobiographical. He has the empty word balloons to imply that he can't hear them from the distance. But this old lady basically comes up to this woman. And the young woman just like gets down on her knees in front of her. And the old woman puts this cross around her neck. A crucifix. This is just a really eerie passage. I really like this. And then she flips it, so the crucifix is coming down her back. She tucks it under her shirt, gets up, and walks on like nothing happened. And then the guys are like, hey, Zach. Oh, it is Zach, sorry. Yeah, so it's definitely Zak Sally drawing himself. And Zach is just like, can't even believe what he saw. It looks like, he's like, what the fuck? That was weird. So this comic is called Severed. Look at this stuff. He really likes this anatomy stuff. I don't know if he studied science or something, or he was going to be a doctor, but look at this great, all the muscles and bones beneath the body. This one's another one that's very opaque. It's like a little poem, kind of very strange. We regret to inform you of the termination of our agreement. We feel you've been patient and understanding, but there is a limit. We've taken into consideration your deep fears and concerns of this matter. So basically it's this like, the captions sound like some boss firing someone for not doing their job, but we just see this crazy image. There's a close-up thing. Zak Sally seems to do this a lot, where he'll be like, zoom in. Really like that graphic, the word balloon. Sorry, not the word balloon, the panelology of it. And we see there's like a circuit that's broken, or a wire. And we just see more of these random, like, weird images of the see-through guy. And the captions just continue to be, sounding like some boss. We regret that there is nothing you can say to us now. This is it. Our bargainers are made and you backed out. It's over. You had your chance. We're closing the deal. So I read this a couple times. I can't make heads or tails of it, but it's very interesting. Like, I'm sure he obviously had a reason for pairing this strange business speak narration with this insanely weird drawing. The author, a little self-portrait there. Sorry. Just kidding. I think that's kind of funny, though. Look, I just want to look at that back cover again. The color thing. Yeah, I remember, I think we traded fanzines, because me and my friend Chris Cajero Cilla, we had a fanzine at the time. But I don't think that would have mattered. They seemed like they were they were pals already. Through like pen pals, writing each other, trading stuff. But I was just blown away by this. I was like, oh, how the fuck did you think of this? That is so cool. Like a medical textbook, So this next comic is called Sauce. And it's a flip book, like I said. We'll start with the Zak Sally half first. Once again, look at this. Zak Sally obviously has a thing for getting under the skin of things. But this one's nuts. It's got like robot parts. There's a little funnel with a pipe. So it's looking at the insides of a human, but very strange. There's a fetus here growing in his forearm. This is a really weird one. It's called Dear X. And we just see this guy in his apartment. And he's writing a letter. Excuse me. He's writing a letter to his friend. Because the friend hasn't been answering his phone. So he says, I thought I'd write you this letter because I need to reach you. I need your help, basically. Like I'm slipping. I need a friend to center me, help me out a little. And apparently, as we read the comic, we realize this guy's a really bad drunk. And like full-on alcoholism. He's not even leaving his house except to get more booze and more sauce, as he calls it. And to get more cigarettes and a little food. But he's writing his friend, and he's just he sounds like this total, like, barfly moron, Just like, hey, you motherfucker, how's it going? Write me back. Why don't you answer your phone, you piece of shit? And he's just, as the pages go on, he's just, oh man, this guy is in a bad way. He's heading for trouble. I mean, he's already in trouble. He's really fucked up his life, it looks like. It has this interesting thing where these blocks of text continue. I know this sounds weird, but I never liked that because it almost makes it seem more like it's an illustrated prose piece as opposed to like, oh no, there's just a caption for a panel. So I like this. The guy is such a drunk. He's got full-on DTs. And this is what he's seeing in his apartment. And he's just kind of used to it by now. This DT monster is saying, booga booga boo. And he's just going, you're full of shit. Like, he's not scared. He's just like, yeah, I'm used to this by now. Having crazy visions, So that's what this is. All the captions are just this letter, this ranting letter to his friend, who apparently is kind of like another psycho type. They probably like fed off each other. But maybe this other guy has had enough. He's not as psycho, and he's just like, I'm not answering that guy. He's bad news. And he does seem like bad news. I like this. Just to make it to the kitchen, he can barely walk anymore. He's so fucking drunk and fucked up. He's crawling. And just on the way there, he just pukes and then just walks through the puke. Crawls through the puke. He's so degenerate. And this is where it gets really odd. He opens the refrigerator, and all that's in the refrigerator is milk. He picks up the milk, but then we see almost like hiding within it if you could, it's almost like we're looking through the milk carton and seeing there's old granddad 80 proof bourbon inside the milk. But it does seem to be like, no, that's his imagination. He has all this milk in his apartment. Maybe he couldn't make it to the liquor store. But in his mind, he thinks he's drinking booze. Even here, we see it's got the milk carton outline, like almost invisible. So, I don't know what's going on. This guy's getting drunk off milk. Or, yeah, it's crazy. Then he realized at the end of the story, he's like, oh my God, it's going to be sunlight in 2 hours. I got to be to work in 2 hours. So this guy's just, nothing good's going to happen to him. But then we see the milk carton. Have you seen me? And it says DT Monster on the milk carton. Just a very odd story. So I like this because it's a split comic. So the two artists did this to almost bridge the gap. Because you're going to have to flip it in a second. This is Zak Sally and this is Mr. Mike. That's the name of the other guy. I guess I should do it like this for you. It's pretty nice design. I like the red and the black and the white. Okay, so now I'll flip it. And here's the other Sauce cover by Mr. Mike. This guy is definitely not as strange as Zak Sally. But he does seem obsessed with writing about being drunk and shit. As you can see, he's got a very simple, sparse style. It's just this guy describing his life, but in a very weird way. Just talking about very strange stuff. My car is white like the corpuscles, that's how he spells it, that flock to infection and aid in the healing process. It leads me to where I must do my work. In this case, it is the corpuscle that carries the blood, a 6-pack of the best. Type O mainline malt. So this is another one that's kind of like, like a poem. Very opaque, very not quite sure what's going on. He's basically thinking to himself. He sounds like a madman, it sounds pretty nuts. But we do kind of get a sense of that he's like some kind of maybe religious nut. Because he quotes the Bible, if thine eyes cause the evil, poketh them out. If thine ear aileth thee, lop it off. And we see him, he says he's ready to start his work. Organs of lust. And we see this murdered woman. Yeah, this school bus with all these murdered children. I've even started chemo on these malignant cells. So that's how he sees the world. Like he's, everyone living is the disease and I'm the cure. And then he says, hey, asshole, this blood's for you. And we finally see him. And he's like wearing this crazy mask. Maybe he read too many comic books, like Punisher comic books. And he's running around, I guess, killing people. Drinking canned blood, maybe? Or that's just in his imagination. Because they don't make that. So it's just a very interesting story, very odd. It is, like something that would be in heavy metal. It's just like, what? I'm not really sure what happened, but it's kind of interesting. Very simple art, though. I'm not that impressed with it, to be honest. It's pretty okay, but it doesn't look like a lot of time was spent on it, which is the exact opposite of Zak Sally. No matter how young Zak Sally was, as a cartoonist, he was working. He was really fucking laying down the ink. So there you go, guys. Kind of weird little comics. I don't even know if these are, I doubt they're available. I don't know if he's ever reprinted these. I think he should reprint this, though, just for this novel cover. This is some amazing stuff. But, sorry I didn't get a date on Sauce. I thought it would be inside somewhere, but I couldn't find a date. I don't think this is too far after Recidivist, though. I wouldn't be surprised. Early 2000s. This is around then. And, yeah, two little weird, interesting little pieces of Zak Sally artwork. Just thought I'd show them off today. And, he definitely got really good. Same with the mouse is, I haven't finished it because I'm missing an issue, but the art looks great. It's just great cartooning. And hope you enjoyed today's video. And I hope you find these if you're interested. They're probably somewhere on eBay. Someone's probably selling them. And hopefully I'll see you here next time at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.